All right. Happy Monday. Happy Monday night, everybody. Come on in for tonight's review of King's Court. Are you kidding me? Tonight's episode, I really want to talk about because it has a lot of things that, well, first of all, one of the topics is very near and dear to my heart. And that, of course, is the topic of an alpha female and some of the things that we do wrong when dating. If you guys watch this channel, you know I have a book that came out a few years ago titled Dear Alpha Female, It's Not Him, It's You. An interactive devotional designed to help you attract the love you deserve. My purpose in writing that was because for myself and other career-driven women, I got tired of hearing that, that we were so unwanted and unattractive and not desired, by men. And tonight's episode really touches on that. I actually got kind of emotional. I am going to try to get through it tonight without doing that. But if I do get emotional, you guys will just definitely bear with me because it's from a very real place. It's just some real shit. It's real shit. Outside of that, thank you, Tammy. We did get through Monday, Tasha. Hey, Edna. Jay the Baker, Kathy, welcome. You guys, welcome. Come on in and have a seat. We're going to talk about tonight's episode. Sunday night's episode. There was a lot that happened in there, and just a lot for us to discuss. So I am going to start first with the easiest of all of this. I think the conversation around Idlewives. We talked a little bit about her. I don't even know if I see it. We talked a little bit about her last week. There she is. And I think, first of all these women are beautiful. I interviewed Steph, who was sent home 2 weeks ago. If you want to see that interview and you haven't, it's available on the channels and the archives. I actually dropped it earlier today. I enjoy sitting down and talking with her, but I will say talking with a 37-year-old about dating on reality TV, it was an eye-opener for myself because I did not come from a generation where we look towards reality TV to be a viable vehicle for us to find love. But I do believe that is something that is very different these days. And she honestly was very hopeful about the situation. I did find it interesting that she, when I asked her, would she friend, fiance, or foe? She said friend, Thaddeus. She said foe was Thaddeus because she didn't like him at all because he looked like her uncle. She said that she would friend Carlos because they did come from the same area, and fiance Tyson. So anyway, she said that they had a lot of interactions that we didn't see. And I will say that I think, of course, I wasn't there. Of course, I've never worked on this show, but I do think that a lot of times the camera's eye exaggerates what the naked eye sees, right? And so I just don't know that Tyson would feel the same. But that's her story. And I appreciate her sitting down and talking to me. And she's very beautiful girl. She has aspirations of dating Michael B. Jordan now. And I would just say to girls, like, we have got to teach our young ladies to aspire to characteristics and not characters, right? I think that's a big thing, but that could be my old fashioned way. So I will take that. But that's what this channel is for me to be able to kind of share my feelings. I think it's important as a woman to teach younger women and to even remind ourselves that we have to be attracted to, you can have a list, you can have things that you're attracted to, but whenever you start to fantasize and get focused on a man that is out of your reach, I think that can be kind of dangerous. Anyway, going back to Idlewives, tonight's episode, she was sent home. But before that, I want to really talk about like what led up to that. This show, even though it is bachelorettes vying for the attention of three men, I do think that in many ways it kind of mirrors what we see happening in the dating world, right? We see, you know, we are all attracted to what we see. And a lot of times what we see may or may not necessarily be attracted to us. It just depends. I think it's very, usually people are attracted to someone and they're attracted to someone else. It's very rare when both people are attracted to each other. And when that happens, it's like this amazing kismet that happens, and it feels very, you know, our dopamine is racing, and that can feel very you know, euphoric, and just, it feels great, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're really compatible. It means you're both really attracted to each other. But a lot of times one person is attracted, the other person is not as attracted. And I would say, in my opinion, just watching the show, that the guys were not necessarily attracted to Idlewives in the same way that they may have been attracted to some of the other women, right? And that's not a bad thing. That doesn't mean that you're not beautiful. It doesn't mean that you're less valuable. I think also as women, we have to do a really good job of reminding ourselves of our value outside of the opinions of men, because every man, you know, men are visual, but men are all attracted to different things. But I just don't think that anyone really showed her the type of attention that would suggest that she was someone's top. It didn't really feel like that, right? It didn't feel like, to me, it didn't. You guys can let me know in the chat if you felt like somebody did fancy her. I didn't feel like she really had, I feel like she wasn't disagreeable, so she wasn't doing anything to make them think I don't like her, but I don't think anybody really zeroed in on her. So tonight's episode, Are You Kidding Me? Some of the women had friends come in, and it was weird because a lot of them we didn't even see friends with. Like, we didn't see Catherine. She looked very beautiful tonight. We didn't get a chance to really see her, and she just seemed like somebody that's at the house hanging out. We didn't see her friend. We didn't see her interact with the guys. I'm not sure, you know, what that was about. But Idlewives did have a friend come, a guy friend of hers. She planned it because it was a guy friend that's an artist, and he just happened to have his CD where Idlewives' legs were used as a CD, and he he was definitely promoting her. He was like, her legs are famous, and Thaddeus is a nice guy. And he was like, oh, that's, you know, it's kind of freaky. There's legs and socks and everything. But at the end of the day, Thaddeus has never, ever voiced being interested in Idlewives. Carlos, I think, is a nice guy also, and talked to her and, you know, said he wanted to get to know her. But we all know that Carlos is tied up with Janae and potentially Jennifer. There was never anything that he did that would lead us to believe that he was really interested in Idlewives. And then also Tyson. Now, Tyson is playing the field and having a good time. I do think, I will say, ladies, I'm going to say on this show, I think that Tyson does not want to hurt any of the women's feelings. I think none of the guys do. I think Tammy said Carlos is polite. They're all polite. And I do think that Tyson has a soft spot. Most men, unless they're just assholes, there are some assholes, but most men don't like seeing women cry, don't like seeing women hurt. If they have any bit of, if they were raised any type of way, right, you know, they don't like that. And so I did see that Tyson, he asked her out, but I think what he was doing is actually more of testing Sara at the time. This is one of the first scenes of the show. We see Sara and Idlewives are sitting there, and Tyson says, do you mind if I take her on a date? Now, Tyson likes to play mind games. He likes to play manipulation games. And so he wants to see if Sara is going to say, no, I don't want you to go out with her. Instead, she's just kind of like, she's hanging on for a thread. She just wants to be in that number. She does not want to be on his bad side. And so she says, well, it doesn't matter. Tyson's dating everyone. And so Tyson is being nice to Idlewives, I think, because he wants to be nice to her. He doesn't want her to feel left out. And then I also think he wanted to kind of ruffle Sara's feathers. Idlewives takes that to heart and thinks that there could be a potential connection. So when the friends come to the house, and they have a barbecue. It does seem like Thaddeus can cook. It seems as though whatever he was doing with that salmon, and even the way he was talking about those ribs, I feel like he may be able to actually cook. But anyway, I got a little distracted by that, and I was like, that salmon looks really good. Edna, you know the chocolate women are gone. You already know that. We talked about it last week. These men are not connoisseurs of dark chocolate. They're connoisseurs of white chocolate and maybe butterscotch, not necessarily chocolate, except for Thaddeus. And he is niche because not only, I mean, I think he's open to chocolate, but I think he wants a smart woman who could be considered an alpha female, but as we'll talk about in a little while, one that has definitely done some work and has come to a different understanding. And that can be very difficult. You know, we're going to get into that, but I want to talk about Idlewives right now. And she got really, really discouraged and actually ended up in tears because none of the guys were giving her attention. And, you know, it's interesting to me. I could be, again, I was raised by a very straightforward Capricorn. I am a Libra, but when I tell you I was raised by a straightforward Capricorn who would not allow me to dramatize anything. You know, if I liked a boy, my mother, I remember my mother telling me, if he likes you, he will call you. If he does not call you, that means he does not like you and you need to move on. Like, that was the type of, you know, really hard-nosed upbringing I had. So when I see girls complaining about, well, why isn't he talking to me? And I'm like, girl, because he don't like you. You know what I mean? And I got that lesson early. I think I passed that down to my daughter just because I just grew up with, we don't pussyfoot around. You just say what it is. He does not like you. Okay. And if he does like you, he will act a certain way. If he acts like he doesn't like you, his actions are aligning with no. So that would be no. And actually, if we listen to that more as women, just very simple things. If he shows you, because men are not, I don't know a lot about men. I can say that honestly. I am learning with every day I lay down and get up, I learn more and more. But they are not unable to let a woman know if they're interested. They have no problems, and they are not. I have never met a man who had a problem and was too shy to let a woman know that he really cared about her. If a man likes you, even if he's awkward, if he is uncomfortable, there will be clear signs, right? Whenever I started, girl, Tammy, even today, that is something. Woo, that is some really hard but true stuff. Don't let a man tell you more than once that he don't want you. That hurts and stings, but it's so very true. If they say it, they meant it, and it is what it is. And it can be hurtful because a lot of times their delivery is, depending on where they are in their life and depending on, their maturity level, it can be hurtful. But as women, I think we have to learn how to accept that. And also, most importantly, we have to learn how to accept it, but to know, and this is something that, God has worked with me about because I struggle with it a lot. Just because one man does not want you or does not value you, that has nothing to do with who you are as a woman. And I want to say that with all these women, just because Tyson, and Carlos did not find them attractive does not mean that someone else will not. And the same thing with us, like those of us that are here, everything is not for everybody. So just because one man does not see his future with you does not mean that no one will. It does not mean that you are not valuable. And a lot of times we rank our own value based on how a man sees us, right? And so if that man tells you that he does not want you, you have to accept that. And you also have to know that does not define you. and I really want to say that does not define you. That does not mean that you are not worthy. It does not mean that you are not valuable. It just means that that man, for whatever reason, can't see it. And maybe that's his loss. Maybe it's not. But it doesn't mean that you are not valuable. So idol-wise, in this situation, there is not a man in this house that is really into her. And she starts crying and she's like, they should give each of us the same amount of time. But that's not realistic, right? It's not realistic. That is not how life works. People that like each other spend more time together. Yes, Edna. Edna said the world is really big with millions of men in it. Amen and amen. And if one does not like it, trust and believe, keep doing you, girlfriend. Keep being you. Keep working on yourself. Keep getting better. And there will be a man out there that will and can appreciate you. I believe that. But the situation with Idlewise, her saying that we should all have equal time, it's almost like this, like, no, there's not going to get equal time. He's going to give the time to the woman he's interested in. And instead of crying about it and being mad about it, you just have to understand that they're just not into me like that, right? Now, when you go on a show like that, you have to know, and anyone in the audience that is watching or even watching on the replay, we are talking about King's Court. If you sign up for a show, first of all, just in life, right? You go out, you have to know that not everybody is going to be attracted to you. First, it's always visual, right? So I remember moving to Atlanta, and in Atlanta, and there are, hands down, it has to be one of the cities with the most beautiful women, beautiful Black women in the world. I mean, I remember being like, everybody here is beautiful in their own way, right? So you may go out and it may not be your night, or you may go out and you may be knocking them down. It just, everybody is not attracted to everything. Some guys don't like short, curvy, thick brown girls. I quickly learned that that is okay, because there are a large group that do, right? Some guys didn't like girls that had been divorced or girls that had children. Guess what? There are some guys that do. So I had to realize that, as opposed to being hurt, because there were some women that would get upset. Well, he doesn't like women that don't have children. Okay, he's just not for me. There are a lot of men out there that are very interested and very attracted to brown, curvy women that are divorced and have children, right? That is not, for some guys, it is a red flag or a stop sign. For other guys, it is a blinking green light. So I have to go where I am valued and appreciated, as opposed to getting mad and pouting and crying and going on social media and saying negative things about men that don't want women. And at this point, men that don't want women of a particular age. There are so many men my age and older who scream that they do not like women their age. It is okay, sir, because guess what? There are men that do. So as women, we have to not get caught up. And that is so hard. I know it's hard. It's been hard for me. You get caught up in all the negative, the people that are saying, especially if it's somebody that you like and you don't happen to be his cup of tea, it can feel very, you can feel rejection doesn't feel good. But what I have learned, and what I am still learning, is that rejection is often God's protection. If you are rejected, that means you are not going to be appreciated nor protected. And so it is best for you to move on. So when Idlewise was let go tonight, after crying and being upset about the fact that none of the men were interested in meeting her friend, it was actually, you know what? She actually did herself a disservice by worrying about that, because if they had sat there and talked to her friend and faked it, it would have actually been worse, because she would have been thinking she had a real chance. Stop running after people that do not want you. I used to think my mom was so harsh for telling me that. My mom is very, very, very blunt. There was no cushion with her tongue. But as I get older, I'm appreciative of that. You know what I mean? It doesn't always feel good at the time. But it also, you just have to grow up and put your big girl panties on. Not everybody's going to like you. Not everybody's going to appreciate you. Not everybody's going to see the beautiful woman that God made in you. But it's okay, because there are others that will. So you just have to go. Girl, the Capricorn be Capricorning. And I'm telling you, to a Libra, whoo, my mom is the type that will tell you, he doesn't, I mean, I literally, this was a conversation. We were in high school. I had a crush on this boy, and my mom said, he does not like you. He did not. He likes me as a friend. But you know, he did not. And I just couldn't understand it, because he liked talking to me, and he liked, that just wasn't what he was looking for. And you know, we do better when we are allowing our energy to go to the people that are, or even on ourselves, but focusing on someone who has told you they don't want you, or has told you that you're not their cup of tea, is a waste of time. So to me, Idolwise, she definitely did not have a mother like mine. But you know, all that energy crying, and none of the guys were mean to her. They just weren't, they're not going to be able to like everybody. It's not going to happen. So these women, I think, before you go on a TV show, they need to have a therapist come talk to them. I know that's not what's going to happen, because that would, you know, we want good TV, and good TV is not about being healthy or anything like that. A therapist needs to come in there and say, look, this man may not be attracted to you, and it's okay. And if you feel like that's not, you know, this is not going that way for you, get what you can out of it and keep it pushing. But all that crying and getting emotional and snotting over the fact that they're not paying you attention, they don't owe you. You can't force someone to like you. You just can't. You can't force them to spend time with you, because even if they do, if they spend time with you and they don't like you, they're going to resent you. That is a word. Trust me. If a man spends time with you and he does not like you, he's going to resent you for that, right? If he feels like he's pressured into it, he's going to resent you. So off you go. There'll be someone out there that will be very, very excited to have you and your the little flare that she had. I thought she looked really pretty at the the rejection dinner, the elimination dinner. It's like the rejection dinner. I thought she looked really pretty. She was wearing an outfit that one of her friends designed, so she got some promo out of it. Girl, take that promo and keep it moving. You're fine. Let's move on to Felicia really quickly, because I just want to say something quick. There's not much meat here when we're talking about Felicia, because we didn't see much with her. But I just want to say, we saw her friend, and her friend said that Felicia was not very affectionate. We see that she's very affectionate with Tyson. In fact, when I see Felicia and Tyson, it feels like both of them are leading with their sexuality, right? One of the things that Felicia has continued boasting about for this entire season is the fact that she dates celebrities. I dated rappers, I dated actors, I dated celebrities. So she is here for a reason, and I feel like she's going to probably do very well now with Sara out of the competition. She's probably going to lock Tyson down, or at least for the end of the show. I predict that. I just don't see anyone else that he has that strong of a physical connection with. But her friend was like, she's not that way. Maybe her friend doesn't see her because she's going after what she wants. And she knows that being physical, most of the time, a lot of men's love language is physical touch. So physical touch, it's a thin line between physical touch and sex, right? So a lot of men, that is definitely how to connect with them. I don't know if it's how to keep the connection going, but it's definitely how to kickstart one. And so that's what she's doing. I saw a lot of beautiful women. He's very superficial in the way that he connects. So for her, it's constant touching, and it's working. But I just want to point out that she did mention that she's dated a lot of athletes, and rappers and athletes, and that's what she does. That's her pool. That's her preferred pool. And she's probably their preferred pool as well. So go ahead, girl. I hope this works. If not Tyson, she'll probably be on to the next one. Let's talk about Brianna really quickly. Brianna, Princess says they should have a therapist just like they did on Heart and Hustle. I love how they broke down each lady's internal struggles so the other ladies could see each other through different lenses. That's true, but you got to realize that show has a very different mission than this show. this show is not about health and being mentally healthy in relationships. This show is really about, men that are objects of, that are high value men according to the world standards, picking a woman. Is very patriarchal. And the women are all vying for them. So this is not about anything with mental health or people leaving in a better position than they came. This is all for shenanigans and foolishness, and that's what we're getting. But I think women need to do their own, self-work. And I think these shows give us an opportunity to see how we show up in many different ways. Maybe you're not like Felicia. Maybe you're more like Brianna. Like I said, let's talk about Brianna. Brianna, I actually liked her. I think she's beautiful. We got a chance to see a little bit more of her in this episode. I think this is the episode we saw the most of her. And she's very beautiful, very unique. I love the fact that she, wears her natural hair, and it's in its natural glory. It's just, she felt comfortable doing that on a show like this. I give her credit for that. But she's a very pretty girl. She's very tall. And she basically says she just kind of warms up slowly. Now, I can relate to that because I'm definitely a slow warmer upper, but I also know that's why I would never have gone on a reality show, because I would have been kicked off the first week, because I just don't. When it comes to love, I'm slow moving, but then when I get there, I'm all in, right? I'm not a person that's just going to jump into things quickly and just risk it all and just jump. I'm very methodical, and I try to make smart decisions. I try. So anyway, that was not good for her on this show. Thaddeus was attracted to her, but I don't think he had enough of a connection with her. I don't know if he was actually as attracted to her as he is to the other ladies, because if you guys remember, Carlos had to kind of point him in her direction. There is never a time where a man needs to be pointed in your direction. I believe that if a man is not attracted to you from jump, you need to move on, because there is enough happening in life that will, we all will see something that we like, and then as time goes on, you get to know that, and that becomes not so big of a deal. If you already weren't what they wanted, it just doesn't ever end well. So I think you always want the guy that's very into you, and then he gets to know you and he's equally into the other stuff up under the looks. But the fact that Carlos had to say, hey, I think you should look at her, it totally let me know that that was not what he's initially attracted to, right? Thaddeus is into people who work out all the time, which makes sense because he works out all the time and he has a right to want that. Brianna had a nice body, but I don't think she was cut up like some of the other ladies are. And he seems to really like that. So I think he was nice to her. I think he allowed her to, have her time on the show, but I don't think he was ever really attracted to her like that. And I think him saying tonight that it was too late. But I mean, at the end of the day, if he really was interested, it would not have been too late, because he would have pursued her a little bit differently. And I do agree, hey, you there, that was wingman energy. And it was really just them. Carlos probably thought she's a nice person, and I, wish that somebody would like her. Just won't be me, right? I'm not attracted to her, but you should, because you're a big guy. She big, you're big, do it. And so that was that. But she went home after she, along with Idlewives, went home, and I don't think it was bad. I think she was there. She got some good time. Like I said, she's beautiful, drop dead beautiful. She'll find somebody if she really wants someone. I think her brother asked some good questions, but at the end of the day, I was thinking her brother's wasting his time, because he ain't, Thaddeus was not into her like that. All right, now let us talk about one of the huge issues tonight, which was Sara. All right, so it finally came out on the show that Sara was past dated in a previous time, according to Sara, 10 years ago, dated R. Kelly. Tyson was immediately turned off. immediately turned off and didn't really have anything else to say to Sara. And I actually can understand why that was the case. And let me explain to you guys why. If you don't agree, that's okay. We could talk about it. You guys know 10 years ago, actually from his very inception, from the very time that R. Kelly was introduced to audiences, right after his album, he was promoting Aaliyah, right? And we knew at that point that Aaliyah was underage, and from that point on, from the time I remember, the two of them went on 106 in Park, and they sat down and they were talking about Aaliyah's album, and the rumors started to swirl from that point that he was into underage girls, as Aaliyah was underage. There was no point after that R. Kelly's reputation did not precede him. There is no way that Sara, his ex, or any of his exes were not aware of the rumors. There is no way. I grew up in between Toledo, Ohio, and Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I knew about that. I was not in LA. I was not in Atlanta. I was not in New York. I was not in Chicago. I was in the antithesis of all those places, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I knew. Hey, you there says, however, this lady ain't black and they ain't have that much knowledge. No, that is not true, because those women like that, trust me, they are very, very up to date on what black men like and what black men are doing, because they are, especially celebrities, because they are strategically going after them because they like the status of dating a celebrity. Do you think that Sara, really living in LA, being around other celebrities, did not know, had never heard that? There's no way. There's no way. I am not giving her the benefit of that doubt. Now, what I can say is maybe she heard the rumors and didn't believe them, right? Maybe she heard the rumors and she believed him, because I do know, and I've been around him quite a bit here in Atlanta, not personally, but at events where he's at. I know a lot of people that have worked with him, and he is very charming. Again, hey, you there? I cannot, baby girl, I cannot take it, because he was not big in Chicago. He was big everywhere. R. Kelly's music was big everywhere, especially LA, especially Atlanta, especially New York. It was very well known in Chicago, but it was also very well known in the industry. You got to understand, the industry is very small. Sara had access to the industry, the entertainment industry. It's a very small circle. I sit here and talk to you guys, and we have fun. We have kiki. I know so much more than I would ever say, because that's not my personality. I would never share some of the information that I know because it's personal, right? And that would make, that's not my character. I could probably have a much bigger YouTube channel if I shared some of the things that I know, but I've been in the industry since 2005, 2006. So I know so much more than I would ever share. But, and, that's just not what I would do. But just like I know, other people know. All this stuff that happened with Diddy, we all knew. People knew. Maybe not to the extent, but we knew there was trouble. That we knew. There are some things that I know that have not come out. Not my business, right? Same thing with R. Kelly. Everyone knew. There was nowhere you could go, even though his music was very celebrated, right? R. Kelly probably is the most celebrated R&B artist of my time, right? As far as being able to write, produce, sing, and wrote for so many other people that so many people don't even know about. He's written so many songs and contributed to so many songs that a lot of people have no idea. You would never think that he had written for Celine Dion and he's collaborated with Michael Jackson. Like he was limitless when it comes to his reach, right? And to think that 10 years ago, and again, when I say he went to 106 in Park with Aaliyah, that was over 20 years ago. Like that was when I was in school. I had been out of school a long time. I don't want to say how long, but you guys know a long time. In 2014, I was working here as a publicist. Everybody knew. Everybody knew. Everybody knew. Now, what you choose to believe is on you. So I'm saying that there probably are women that were around him that he convinced that it was all rumors. Just like there's a lot of celebrities that have a lot of rumors going on that they will say are not true, right? And their publicists, it is a publicist's job to make those rumors go away. But you cannot, and she was not in Persia. She was in LA. Let's don't get it twisted. That girl, she has been in the industry and around the industry. She is someone that wants to date celebrities and feels entitled to that lifestyle, which lets me know without a shadow of a doubt she knew. Now, if she believed it, that's something different. But we all, again, tonight is going to be about like taking accountability and being grown, right? We all know that we are all judged by association. That's just a basic human law. And a lot of times people will turn a blind eye to certain things because the people are famous or they're wealthy. There are a lot of wealthy people, a lot of famous people, a lot of influential people who do a lot of bad things that people around them let them get away with because they want to be attached to the lifestyle. That's just the reality of it. And like I said, trust me, I am not speaking of something I do not know. I'm speaking of something that I know very, very well. I even the times that I've been around R. Kelly here, I'm not even going to do that, but even the times that I've been around him here, and it was over 10 years ago, everybody knew. And I would also say that if you were around him, there was behavior that was questionable. There was questionable behavior. I don't believe that she was not aware. Now, to say I didn't believe it or I didn't believe it, that's fine. But you did know. You knew, because I promise I'm not going to incriminate myself by sharing exactly how bad things were. But I will just say this. I was at an event that he was at. This was over 10 years ago. And it was so obvious what was going on. I left. I caught an Uber home. I told the guy friends that I was there with, this is wrong. And they said, they laughed. And I caught an Uber home. I'm not going to go into any detail because, like I said, there's nobody. That's not something I would share because of the people that brought me to the event. And it wasn't just him. He was participating in it. It's like a basketball game. He was participating. But if I, who was a publicist who didn't work personally with him, saw things, there's no way. There's just no way. And that's something I we can disagree, but trust me, I know a little bit more just from being in this business like that. So the fact that Tyson did not want to be associated with that, I don't have a problem with that. I think how he handled it, I think that she knew when they went in. Tyson, we didn't hear who his exes were on camera, right? Like we can look up who he's dated that we know, but we didn't hear names of celebrities that he's dated, probably because they may not want to be mentioned on the show. But for her to hold that back, that is a problem because that could make him look crazy, right? That is a bad situation. And unfortunately, because of the level of death, if anybody watched Surviving R. Kelly, which, whether the fact that he is in jail right now, it is solely because of that documentary. And the fact that we were all sitting down in 2020, the documentary came out and people had to pay attention. But if you listen to the documentary and you read the articles afterwards, you saw that the cases against him and underage women went back for over 20 years. So I mean, I'm not going to keep going back and forth. There's no way the girl didn't know. It could have been that she didn't believe it. I give her that. She might not have believed it. It's hard to believe. That's crazy. You know, you don't want to believe someone that you care about, that you have fun with, would do something like that. Nobody wants to. But when that does happen and you are associated with them, then you kind of have to take the good with the bad, right? And I think, especially on a show like that, I understand being a publicist, I would definitely have advised my client not to go home with the girl that dated R. Kelly. Not a good look. Not a good look. I don't know that I think Tyson does not like confrontation. I think we can safely say that he does not like confrontation. And so he didn't say anything to her. He definitely didn't have any problem sending I don't want to home. He said that quickly. I think he just wanted to get away from the elimination dinner. I appreciate Carlos having some sensitivity and saying you are a queen, because yes, who you date in the past, even if you made a mistake and say you did know and you made a mistake, it still doesn't mean that that there's nothing else for you and no one will love you and that you're unforgivable. Like, no, that does not mean that at all. But coming on a TV show with that is going to bring up that type of press and negative publicity. And so you may not, if you are going to date another celebrity, which is very clear that she wants one, she would need to talk to them beforehand. Unfortunately, now they're probably already going to know. So anyone that she talks to now would probably already know after she's been on this show. But I definitely think that's something that she should have told him early on, so he could have decided if he wanted to be cool with it or not. Because I can tell you, as a publicist, if he chose her and they ended the show together, the headlines we're going to read, Tyson chooses R. Kelly's ex. That's just how things go. And Tyson has been in this business long enough. And he's had some scandals. I'm not even going to go into those, but he's had some scandals. You guys can look him up. I don't know if they're true or not, but he's definitely had some scandals. I told you about a little time when we were working with him and it was not the best experience, but I believe that he's grown since then. That was over 10 years ago. But I think that he has a right to protect his brand. You know what I mean? And all these girls are here trying to get a piece of him so they can make themselves famous. So it is not wrong for him to try to make sure that he protects himself against that. That's not wrong at all. And that's all I have to say about that. She definitely knew what the rumors were, but we have all made bad decisions. But sometimes those bad decisions follow you. There are some times that, because of who you have a child with, because of who someone knows, if you date somebody and then you meet, they have a family member later, you may not be able to date that person. That's just part of it. Like, that is just a part of it. But DC says, you're right, Crystal. I'm from Chicago and used to work in a Nike store. R. Kelly used to shop there. He was so charming and pleasant. Absolutely charming. It would not work if he was not charming. Like, most of these people that do things that are unthinkable are extremely charming. I told you guys I've been around Diddy. He's extremely charming. He has some weirdness, some darkness, but overall he's extremely motivational. Makes you just feel like you want to do more. I always felt like I wanted to, reach the sky. I wanted to be the best. I wanted to be Black excellence. I wanted to go forward, not backwards. I wanted to go straight to the top. That is how it feels when you're around some of these people, because they're blessed. If you know, for those of you that, read your Bible and are into the scripture, Lucifer was the minister of music, and he was very charming, very bright, very beautiful, very charming. So it would not work. And very talented, you know what I mean? Unless there was all those things working together, you know what I mean? And as women, a lot of times we fall prey to that, because the charm, the talent, it's all very attractive. It's very seductive, and it can lead you down a path of destruction. So that is all I have to say about Sara. Now I have to get to Khaliah, because this is where I actually got emotional and I want to have a real talk with my XO family here. Dr. Khaliah, first of all, this episode opened with a very, very strange interaction with her and Thaddeus. Now, if you guys remember last week, she was at the elimination dinner. Thaddeus, I think he also likes to manipulate and kind of see how people respond to things. He put her in the bottom, and she sat through it, very polished, very but you could tell she was thrown off, but she didn't show an emotion, which I can appreciate. Again, this woman graduated from Cornell and is a pediatrician, so she is not someone that is going to lose themselves over a TV camera. She could lose her license, she could lose her patience, she could lose her respect in the community and everything that she's worked so hard to achieve. So I was not surprised that she held her composure, right? That just means that she had good home training and her graduate, undergraduate, and doctoral degrees all, played into that, right? That's who you are. This is the thing. And please know, I am saying this because this is really the core of who I am. I'm not a doctor. I wish I had been a doctor. I wish my smarts were not in writing and talking, but were in math and science. But God and I will have to talk about that next time, because I really wish that I had been a math and science girl as opposed to a words girl, right? Because I'd probably have way more money and be way more important in my job if I was. But that was never my strong point. I was always a writer and a talker. So Dr. Khaliah confronts Titus. He says that he wants to know how she really feels. She lets loose. She tells him that she was humiliated. She can't believe that he put her in the bottom again. I think a lot of times women, specifically alpha females, we assume that men have a checklist like we do, right? And she knows that she's in good shape. She knows that she's physically attractive and she's a doctor. So according to how women judge men, that would make her a top priority. She would make a great husband, right? She's attractive. She is, I'm just saying, like, we often think that men judge us by the same parameter and by the same parameters that we judge them. So according to her, she is a catch. According to her, if she was judging her, she would be a catch. And so she feels like Titus should see her as a huge catch because she is smart, she is beautiful, she is accomplished, she, is a doctor. Like, you cannot get bigger than that. And when it comes to professionally, right? But unfortunately, my sisters, men do not judge women by the same tokens. Men are not looking for husbands. They are looking for wives. And it doesn't appear that brilliance or being accomplished is necessarily a check mark on many men's lists. Many men do not care anything about that. Now, we love Titus because he does appreciate smart women, right? We have celebrated him all season long because, unlike most of his brothers, he has come out and said that he appreciates women who are smart, women who are accomplished, and women who basically have made a difference. He himself has a school. He's educated. He shared, if you guys look at my channel, I posted a clip from an interview he did with Thaddeus from Dear Future Wifey, where he talked about his mother. He recounted the story that he shared. And I think because his mother was taken advantage of, I think that he has a heart for women, and he really champions women who have who have pulled themselves up by their bootstraps. Again, most men do not. And that's something that we all have to learn. I can relate to that 100%. I can relate to that 100%. I work really hard after my divorce. from my first husband, I was really a hard worker even when I was married, but I worked very hard, not to impress a man, but just to put myself in a position where my children would be taken care of, right? And I built one of the most successful PR companies in the South. That's not bragging, that's just the truth. I worked my butt off, right? I took my degree and I took my ability to work hard, and I hit the ground running. I didn't go to a HBCU here. I didn't have connections. I worked really hard. I worked hard. All I did was work, right? For so long. And what I learned after achieving, I went from being homeless to having a beautiful home, 2 cars, my children both being able to go to college and graduate. My children have both graduated college, and I was very proud of that. But it was not easy. It's not easy to do that as a woman. And so what I learned is a lot of men just automatically from the jump would not consider me a potential mate, because they did not like the fact that I did not appear to be someone that needed a man. I understand you guys are upset. I was too when I first learned. I was like, what are they talking about? Like, I didn't have a choice, right? My ex-husband and I split up. And so I'm not going to sit down and die. You know what I mean? I had to work. I worked. But that was very unattractive to a lot of men. A lot of men automatically assume if a woman is accomplished, they don't feel like they will matter, right? So that, it actually became very hurtful for me. I did not know what to do. I remember going on a date with this guy, and he was like, you must think you're like a real housewife. All he saw was my car. That's it. And he had negative things to say about me. People would hear what I did. So I started trying to dumb myself down. I'm just telling you guys this because I can understand what happened with Khaliah tonight. And it bothered me so much, because I understand that she was just trying to do what she thought was right. She has everything that she probably could imagine that she needs, except a partner. And so she says that she prayed, and that Thaddeus, she sees Thaddeus is her husband. That is just that alpha female personality speaking, because guess what? People say that that was stupid, or that was too much. And you could see from his reaction that it was not the best thing to do. But what I do want I am fighting the tears, because I'm telling y'all, this is like a hurtful thing for me, but it's also a real thing, which is why I wrote this book. But the thing about it is that in order for her to become a pediatrician, in order for her to graduate at the top of her class, in order for her to go to Cornell, in order for her to be a successful pediatrician in Atlanta, where Black doctors are the norm, right? I can go to any hospital here and find numerous Black doctors. It's not like some cities where that's not the norm. In Oklahoma, I don't think I ever had a Black doctor. Here, I can have a Black eye doctor. I can have a Black OBGYN. I can have a Black, I can go get a mammogram. I can have a Black family practice doctor. Black doctors are the norm here, right? So for her to be successful as a Black pediatrician and be as accomplished as she is, how do you think she did that? She did that by visualizing what she wanted and going after that. And that is exactly the same principle that she's using with Titus. And it is not going to work, because men are not like an accomplishment that you put on your vision board. They are not like an accomplishment that you work at. I have girlfriends, and most of my friends are very accomplished, very accomplished. And I remember one of them, I have one friend that if you give her a manual and you tell her that she's going to take a test on it, the next week she will get 100%. Like, she will dial in. I'm not like that. Again, I really wish that if God had put that that math and science and that focus in me, but he just gave me the gift of words. But she could do that. And so when it comes to men, she tries to figure out how to apply the same principles that got her success in dating, because it seems like how you show up one way is how you show up every way, and every other way it works. except for in relationship. It doesn't work that way in friendship. It doesn't work that way with children. You guys have children, know you can be a straight A student. You can be a Harvard graduate. Your children will give you a run for their money. So with Dr. Khaliah, she's not in a relationship. We heard her friend today say that she was in a short-lived relationship. She's 44 years old. We know that the biological clock is like, hey girl, she's around children. I don't know if she wants children of her own, but she definitely wants a husband because she said that she sees Titus as her husband. Titus was not receptive to that. First of all, that is alpha characteristics. And when you have a man that's like an alpha, you cannot show up the same way. And it's really unfortunate for her because she doesn't know any other way to show up. Most of us don't know any other way to show up. I didn't know any other way to show up besides as Crystal that was focused and laser focused on survival, right? And achieving. And I did not know any other way to show up. So the thing about it is when there are some men, as Kojim said from Little Black Book, and I quoted him in this book, he says, no one likes to jump high fences, but dogs. So when you show up in all that alpha energy, a real man is not going to want to interact with that. He's going to see that as combative and not soft, right? And so the men that will be attracted are usually men that are trying to use you. Trust me, I had many of them. Oh, girl, you didn't take me with you to a red carpet. You need to do this. I wanted someone who I could respect, right? So Edna says men want to be needed, but this is the thing. How do you learn how to need someone when you have had to do everything yourself? That is not an easy skill to learn. And I just want to acknowledge that, in Dr. Khaliah's honor, it is not an easy skill to learn. I remember older women telling me, dumb yourself down. Never let your husband know of your accomplishments. That is what older Black women told me as a young girl in college. That is sad. But unfortunately, the older I get, the more I realize why those women told me that. And when I watched Dr. Khaliah tonight, Titus did not like what she said about her feeling humiliated. And then when he attempted to talk to her, she came off as very defensive, right? She said that she was furious. She was humiliated. Like, baby, I don't understand why I didn't understand why I'm there. She can't understand how she could possibly not be his top, considering all that she is, right? And the one thing that she's missing, and I think that I was missing, and a lot of us are missing, and I still struggle with this, trust me, it's still an issue for me, is that when you've had to do something all your life, and you've had to, and most of us have had to be that way from jump, right? I didn't just become that when I divorced my ex-husband. I was that from being the oldest girl in a house with a single mom. Got to get straight A's, got to get this, got to get it, got to get it, got to get it. I didn't grow up with money. I grew up poor. So guess what? Unless you want to be poor, get on your stuff, get these straight A's. I was in the student council. I was in FBLA. I was in all kinds of girls, everything I could possibly do. I was a cheerleader. We are taught that we have to do everything as Black women. And then when we get to a point where we have done everything, then we are told that we are not attractive because of that, and that men don't like that. And that's so hurtful, right? So yes, boys are coddled, girls are raised. And unfortunately, we have a lot of men in our community who are immature and unable to understand that. But then on the other hand, we also have to understand that those attributes that we used to get to the top and to get us out of poverty and to get us to that next level, we cannot rely on those in a relationship. We have to learn new skills. And that shouldn't be difficult for us because we're so good at learning things. But it takes something that we're not really good at, right? Which is, first of all, being quiet, right? Being quiet, not being quiet like, I'm not saying that, because I've heard so many men say women just need to shut the F up. That is not true. You do not need to be with someone who thinks you need to shut the F up. But you do need to be quiet to understand what your message is delivering, right? And what is he trying to say? Men talk slower than women. We, especially those of us that are educated and have a little bit of intelligence to us, we can go a mile a minute. We can go a mile a minute. Men don't think that fast. So Khaliah tonight, yesterday night, she cut Titus off, right? It infuriated him that she cut him off. And that's just because her brain is used to being able to go, right? When she's as a doctor, as this, you have to be able to go. The quiet is not because you are less than. It is because you need to hear his heart. And if you're talking and you're not able to hear it, a lot of times we're thinking we know. And we're operating in that I have to make it right. At least most of us. I'm talking about the alpha females that actually want to be a great partner. I don't know about the ones that don't. I'm only speaking to those of you that want to be a great partner. We believe that we have to make it right. We believe that we have to fix everything, right? So we want to interject to fix it, to explain to you so you will understand, so everything will be right. And that is not the right thing to do. It's very difficult, but unfortunately, it is interpreted to a man as disrespect and as something very different, right? Now, the biggest thing in this is that, and they also interpret it as unattractive, right? It's unfortunate because I could sit there and watch both sides and understand as an observer, right? Khaliah likes him probably a lot more than he likes her, because the characteristics that she's able to communicate and to show him are not the ones that he readily wants, right? What did he say? He's talking about sex. He's talking about softness. He's talking about, and she is a doctor. She is someone, and you don't have to be a doctor because I'm not a doctor, but I am someone that was taught that they had to, by life, that they had to achieve. And if you don't, you will get left out. And that's really true, because at the end of the day, if the man doesn't want you, you're going to have to keep providing for yourself. So you do have to keep that ability to do that. But I do think that being able to learn a new skill that is not on a paper, that really is about dialing into who you are as a woman and who we have not been allowed to be. A lot of us have never been allowed to be a woman, to be soft, to be taken care of. I talked to you guys about this a couple of weeks ago. A girlfriend of mine, I was going back and forth with her on Facebook, and she said she had never felt safe with a man. Never, ever. And I was like, well, that explains why you never had great sex. And she said, yeah, that's true, because she said she had never felt safe. And I think that's a big part of it. You have to be with someone that you can feel safe with. And just because Titus is strong and big does not mean that you can feel safe with him, right? He has to show that he is worthy of that. He has to show you that he will protect you, and that he not just provide, because a lot of men are just stuck on the provide, make money. No. Do you make her feel like she can relax and be herself, and you're not judging her, right? Because again, all these skills that we have, this alphaness is not something that we created. It's something that it happened to us. We were born into families where we had to get up and do the best. We didn't have a choice to be mediocre. We did not have an opportunity to do that. There are some women that do that. And if that's what you want as a man, then you should avail yourself to those women. But there are some of us that wanted to take our families out of poverty, right? We wanted to do better. When I got divorced, I didn't want my children to suffer. That was it. So for a lot of men, that is just not the woman that they want. That is not, because that woman, her success would highlight his lack of, right? And if that's the case, then he's not the man for you. But I think with Titus, I think that 106 in Park didn't debut until 2000. Okay, but it's 2028, so that would mean that that was at least 20. No, they did. That's not. Well, it wasn't. It wasn't 106 in Park, and I'll pull that up. But those of us that know remember that R. Kelly went on. R. Kelly and Aaliyah did go on a show together. I'm not going to go into that right now because I'm talking about something serious. But they did go on the show together on BET. It might have been a different show than 106 in Park. But and see how irritating I am. I can't let it go. I'm going to pull it up because R. Kelly and Aaliyah. R. Kelly was 27, Aaliyah was 15. This interview was wild. It was on Video Soul. So I stand corrected. Hey, D-Glove. It wasn't 106 in Park, it was Video Soul. And R. Kelly was 27 years old and Aaliyah was 15. And after that interview, it came out they were married. So yes. But anyway, I feel for Dr. Aaliyah. I don't think that Titus is going to pick her. I think that Ariel, even though she is, you guys notice Ariel she has a PhD, but she leads with her sexuality, right? So she's the one that came in with the butt out, sheer with the butt, and she's very much leading in her sexuality, right? And that is going to appeal to Titus more. Do I think that we should lead with our sexuality? Absolutely not, right? Absolutely not. If that's not who you are, don't do that. If that is who you are, keep the party going, girl. But for those of us that are not, I don't think that Dr. Aaliyah should have came in and led with her sexuality. No, because that's not who she is. But I do think that if you really do think that this man is your husband, before you speak to him in a defensive way, or if you do, you have to apologize. That can be difficult. But before you speak to him that way, she went off. She was like, you humiliated me. You did this. You did that. You did this. It's very accusatory. Then she did not allow him to respond, right? So I don't think she realized, because her intent was not to piss him off. Her intent was not to disrespect him. But the first thing he said was, I can't lead that. That doesn't feel like peace. And I was just like, oh my gosh, what she's doing is trying too hard to convince him of her good qualities, right? And the simple thing is, if he doesn't see that, you can't convince him. You just have to be yourself. And for many of us who are overachievers, you have never had the space to just know that you are enough. You don't have to get straight A's. You don't have to get the extra degree. You don't have to buy the biggest house. You don't have to get the best car. You don't have to be at the top of you don't have to be student of the month. You don't have to be, you can just be. And you can be okay. And the man that can love you like that is the right man. Is the right man. And she showed up trying to show him who she is. If he can't see you, baby girl, he's not for you. You know, I'm speaking to myself too. That is the biggest thing with those of us that do come from that background. I know, right? I'm not trying to cry. I would not have written this book if I didn't believe this so much. I say on the back of this book, I truly believe that I am not my sister's keeper. I am my sister. It is time for us to allow the overachieving little girl inside of us to relax. We owe her thanks for carrying us this far, but it's time for her to exhale. It's time for her to let go of her fear. It's time for her to be loved unconditionally, and it's time for her to grow. And the right man will love you unconditionally. The right man will not make you feel like you are not enough. The right man will accept you for who you are, and he will understand that. Now, you may have to learn how to let that man talk and let that man love you. But if it's the right man, you will respect him, and it will work. I'm going to send the doctor a copy of my book. I'm going to. I definitely have someone that's helping me get her information, but this is such a hurtful thing. And I just think so many of us women don't understand it. Like I said, if I had not have been blessed to meet Iyanla Vanzant and do some work on myself, and it wasn't that there was anything wrong with me. It was just that I never felt safe, right? I never felt safe. And I always felt like I had to prove myself. I would go out with somebody and start trying to do stuff to prove to them that I was worthy, right? Because I'm not a woman that leads with my sexuality, right? And I think that for those of us that we have to know that we deserve love, and you don't have to do anything to get it. You do not have to do anything you don't have to show him your degrees and your everything that you've accomplished to win him over, right? Hey, you there says only unconditional love is from God. Romantic, erotic love ain't the same. I think we feel better about ourselves when we remember that. That is true. That is true. But I do want to say this before I leave. And you guys know I'm a Christian. I believe in the Bible. Unconditional love is from God. However, the Bible says that a husband is supposed to love his wife the way God loves us, which is unconditionally. And if you find a man that you want to be your husband and he does not love you unconditionally, then he's not the one for you. Because the Bible speaks about marriage throughout, and it does say that a man is supposed to, wives submit to your husbands, husbands love your wives, and they're supposed to cover us, love us, and protect us as Christ loved the church. So a husband is supposed to love you unconditionally. I know it doesn't happen very often. I don't think I have seen it. Well, that's not true. I have seen it, but it's not often, right? It doesn't happen often. But I do think it's possible. I do think it's very possible. And I think at the end of all of this, I believe that everybody deserves love. And I believe it is an evil lie to think that because you have worked hard and because you have become successful, that you are less attractive and you are less of a woman. I believe that's a horrible lie. And I believe that that makes so many of us feel bad about who we are, right? And I think so many of us have so much more of ourselves. Like maybe we haven't loved on ourselves enough to know how to expect someone to love us. I know that's true for me. I know that I am always the last person that I love on, right? And I am learning. This book helped me. Just writing this book helped me. And it's still helping me, right? To love myself. And it says, an interactive devotional designed to help you attract the love you deserve. You can't get the love you deserve until you give it to yourself. And so I wish that for Dr. Khaliah. And I don't know her. I just saw her example and it moved me. But yes, it doesn't really matter about the man. It really matters about how we see ourselves and what we know we deserve. But I do think we have to take accountability for sometimes that little girl that was told that she had to be so strong and she had to be the best and she couldn't afford not to be perfect. Sometimes she gets in her own way, you know? So this is my love letter to myself. This is my love letter to you all and to Dr. Khaliah. And hopefully a few men will see this and will appreciate it and will understand that this word that they are disgusted by of alpha female is really just a scared little girl that has never felt safe. So maybe some of them, the ones that are worthy, can make us feel safe as opposed to perpetuating, this idea that a woman who is accomplished is a bad woman, right? So I appreciate all the hugs. You guys know I have never done this on here, but that episode just, oof, it was triggering. I hate that word, but it was triggering. The episode was triggering. And yes, women need deliverance. A lot of us, we need help. We need love, because love covers a multitude of sins, I believe. I believe love is the most powerful thing there is. And I believe that it is out there for every single one of us. It may not be in the package that we thought. It may not be in the tightest package, or it may. I don't necessarily think that's going to be true for Dr. Khaliah. But I do think that love is out there. I think we have to learn to love ourselves and to know that we don't have to do anything, sis. You don't have to perform. You don't have to prove yourself, because the right man is going to love you with flaws, because we all have flaws, and he will be patient with you. You know? Anyway, that is what I have to say for tonight. I hope you guys received this. I am sorry for crying, but actually I'm not, because I'm being authentic, and it really is why I wrote this book, and it's really what I believe. It's really what I believe. No matter what, it's what I believe. I love you guys for watching. I love you guys for being a part of my extended family. And I will see you guys Wednesday with Scorpio Mo. Do not tell him that I cried, okay? Do not tell him that I cried on him. But yes, I love you guys. I really do. You make my life so much better. And I will see you guys on Wednesday, all right? You guys stay safe. Love on yourself. Love on yourself, and know that you are worth it. All right? Good night.